Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. After a much ballyhooed premiere around Valentine's Day, Captain America Brave New World has seemingly slipped out of everyone's view and conversation, which is about par for the course when it comes to Marvel's releases over the last few years. At least no one was brought up in charges and immediately jobbed out to avoid a recasting, so I guess that's a positive note, right? Right? Anyways, since one of us finally got around to seeing the flick after working his way through his bougie cinema list, not naming any names here, but hint, hint, it wasn't me. We're finally ready to tabulate our predictions about what Cap 4 was going to bring us. So here it is, without further ado, episode 198, Captain America, Anger Management. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who has an intellect even more impressive than the leader, but he doesn't believe in flaunting. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades and could easily whip a supercomputer when it comes to wrestling trivia. I give you the man they call Till.
American Dream. He's just a common man working hard with his hands. He's just a common man working hard for the man. Hey, he's American Dream. Hey, he's American Dream. American Dream. If you are black or white, redneck, funky, that's all right. Blew up on Out of Soul, call the man, he's got his goal. Hey, he's American Dream. Hey, he's American Dream. If you will.
If you will.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. Little common man boogie.
Oh, so good.
Dusty Rhodes from his WWE run. And my goodness, when you don't have that America, I mean, when you don't hold that, you just lose so much emotion from it.
And then the cowbell. Don't eat just a common thing.
There we go.
Oh my gosh, so good. The thing is, like, the polka dots were not a great thing for Dusty.
No.
They weren't very slimming.
No.
But the song, they got the song right, because that boogie was so perfect for Dusty.
And to see him go through, like, you know, when most of the time when I would see him, because I did not get pay-per-views a lot back in that time. It would be on, you know, Superstars of Wrestling or Wrestling Challenge or Primetime Wrestling. But man, when that song would hit and they did the old house show thing where they had the spotlight on the aisle as he comes in, and you just see the sea of people, just like, you just see Dusty just cruise on through, you know, he's doing doing the boogie, you know, and
the crowd pops for him.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Oh,
every time. Like, people love them some Dusty Rhodes, even though it's like he's in polka dots and he's doing some ridiculous stuff.
Indeed.
Love us some Dusty Rhodes.
Indeed.
Oh, so good.
Indeed. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. You know, on the right side of the grass, I've got a nice cold Irish red beer here. We're living the dream. The dream. St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. I'm planning on going down to the gluten-free brewery. They've got a lovely stout on tap that they have a nitro pour, so you get kind of the Guinness settling effect. It's not quite the same, but it's as close as I'm going to get. So big plans coming up. How about you, sir? How are you doing?
My St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to be down in Dallas, Texas.
That's
down there for some work.
Do they dye the river green there?
I don't think they do. Probably going to be very work focused, so probably not a whole lot going on. But you know, that's okay. I'm just going to take it easy, and I don't really get too much into the St. Patrick's Day situation. So
no, I've my days of going out on St. Patrick's Day are pretty well done. Like going down to the gluten-free brewery tasting room for a pint is about as exciting as it's going to get for me. That's about as wild and crazy as it's going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day, my friend Matt and I would put together a bit of an Irish feast, some corned beef, some soda bread, some cabbage.
Irish soda bread's so good.
Oh, Irish soda bread is a wonder of nature, and it so pains me that I cannot eat. Well, I mean, I could eat it if I wanted to, but I am trying to keep the carbs out of the system, so I must avoid it at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
And then have a little Guinness to wash that all down. My friend, it was a glorious day. Glorious day.
Yeah.
Glorious day.
Yeah. First time I went to Ireland and I had Irish soda bread, I was like, what have I been missing my whole life? And with like real Irish butter.
Yeah.
On it. It was just like, I've found heaven.
The butter, when you have the warm bread and the butter just, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's nothing to compare.
All right, we're going to move on. I'm getting the vapors.
I'm just going to drool all over my new mic. Oh, man. All right. Well, we are going to talk about Captain America 4, and we are going to get there eventually. However, first, we're going to dive into our – actually, I'm going to start pulling. Oh, so it actually worked this time. I tried to pull something up earlier, and it it didn't work very well. So it took like 5 minutes to pull up. So I was going to make sure I had that for our Captain America. And of course, it works like that. But we're going to dive right into our Raw cheers and jeers for what was it yesterday? So that was March 10th.
March 10th, 2025, the year of our Lord. Are we going to get a little bit of the Raw intro, my friend? There it is.
Just for you.
Thank you. Cry havoc. Unleash the dogs of war. And if ever there was a time to break that theme out, it was last night. MSG, steel cage. Oh, sweet Moses.
Yeah.
Not messing around, ladies and gentlemen. They were not messing around. Oh, phenomenal.
So good.
Phenomenal.
All right. So Raw was, as you said, at New York City. By the way, did you know that Madison Square Garden is the mecca of professional wrestling?
I had heard it was potentially the mecca of professional wrestling. Was that true?
The center of the wrestling world, the hallowed halls.
Wait, is it the center or the epicenter?
It's all of them. It's all. It's okay. It might have even, Michael Cole might have even referred to it as an EpiPen. I'm not sure. He was all over the place. They were both falling all over them.
Cole needs an EpiPen every now and then.
McAfee and Cole were getting like a spiff for every time they mentioned MSG. Like,
you know where you are.
Oh my gosh, it was getting in. Last night was the first time in quite a long time that I was really starting to get annoyed with the announce team. It was really grating on me for some reason. McAfee in particular was just getting on my nerves, and not even like a heel way, like just in a you're so over the top right now. Like, switch to decaf or something. Like, anyways,
can I share a little side project I was doing with Raw on at the same time?
Oh, pretty please do.
Because I don't know if you experience this or not. I don't think you do, because I think you have Apple TV. But have you heard what has happened globally, worldwide, for those who own a second generation Google Chromecast?
No.
Apparently on March 9th, 2025.
Ruh-roh.
There was a security, an intermediate certificate that is used to allow connections between the Chromecast and Google servers and the device, like your phone or whatnot, to actually connect to it to stream. Apparently, said certificate expired.
Whoops.
After 10 years, which, by the way, being one who works in the industry, I know probably how that conversation went, which was, no one will be using the thing in 10 years. So Sunday night,
of course, it's going to expire on a Sunday when everyone's out in the office.
Sunday night, I go to, we're kind of making our way through Modern Family before, bedtime. We like to watch that and maybe a little bit of Frasier. And I go to stream the show and I cannot connect to my Chromecast. So of course I go into debug mode. I cycle the power 5, 6, 7 times. We have 2 of them, one in our first floor, one on our second floor. So I try the first floor one.
Can't A/B testing.
Can't get anything to connect. I finally give up this was 9:30 at night. I started to do this. I finally gave up at 10:30. I went a full 60 on this one, an Iron Man match. And I tapped out at the 60th minute. And rightfully so, because there wasn't a damn thing I was going to do to fix this, because apparently the certificate expired. But this has affected anyone who's still running that that version of the device. And the crazy part is that device was so simple and required no maintenance that once you hooked it up to your TV, you never thought of it again. You just used it as, oh, I want to stream. I want to stream.
Which is why it's been phased out.
So apparently Google is working on a fix, but I'm also looking at getting the Google Streamer device now, which is now the replacement. So I might go that route. But I bring this up only because now I'm actually forgetting why I brought this up. So you were talking about wrestling.
You were working. It was a side project that you were.
Thank you. So it was something I was researching last night just to buy one of these Google Streamer devices, and I happened upon the article that said, "Oh, a certificate expired," and I'm like, "Oh, that makes so much sense why it just all of a sudden stopped working, because it worked Saturday night without a problem." So that was what I was looking into, as well as some other stuff that I was doing.
How much is a streamer? Just out of curiosity.
So it's a little it's $99. It's $100. But you get your full suite of streaming apps that you can stream to. So Paramount, Disney, HBO.
So it's like their version of Apple TV.
Basically, it's their version of Apple TV, but it feels pretty simple. I feel $100 is reasonable. What was great about the Chromecast at the time I got them was it was like $30 a pop. So
yeah, I remember. I think I had the first gen one.
Yeah.
And it was dead simple to use.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But I know someone must have thought it will age out probably by the 5 to 7 year mark, like all technology typically does. Usually you rotate your phone, you rotate your computer, that sort of thing. And the device persisted, and now we're in a place where, worldwide, globally, you have all of these people who are like, "What the hell?"
So, do you remember? Do you ever see the movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico? Robert Rodriguez flick?
Oh, I did not see that one. I saw Desperado.
All right, so Johnny Depp is in this movie, and one of his gimmicks is he orders this pork dish at every little bar he goes to in Mexico. And so he's talking to Antonio Banderas, the mariachi, El Mariachi, pardon me, character. And he's like, El, you really have to try this. This is it's puerco pibil. It's a very simple, pork dish. And he says, I order this in every bar I go to with a shot of tequila and lime. And he says, and it has never been this good. In fact, it's too good. It's so good. When I finish here, I'm going to pay the check. I'm going to go into the kitchen and I'm going to shoot the cook. Why? Because I keep balance. And I'm like, that's just it almost every time you come across a product that is just too good and that just works effortlessly, like someone's like, we must do something about this.
Yes.
We must take it out back of an old yeller this thing because it's too good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes that kind of sucks. But yeah, I can totally see that reasoning too. Like a decade, that's more than enough. We're probably overpaying.
I mean, it probably was a fairly reasonable assumption to make, but those are the assumptions you make at times about when you're doing technology is, what are the edge cases you need to really plan for? Because you can't plan for, you can't satisfy everything. You can't make it fully bulletproof, but you can make it 90 to 95% bulletproof. And the last 5% kick my ass. So
you ever see that meme where they were talking about like it's like the Enterprise F or something is being retired or something, and then they say, oh, and we had the newest model of the B-52 X flying by, and they have a B-52 with like the nacelles underneath the wings. Yeah. Like the newest version flying by as a tribute to the Enterprise. It's like,
oh dear,
because it's one of those things. It's like that. It's that weird edge case of like, this thing serves a purpose and it's aged in and it will continue to go forever. It might be flying 100 years.
Yep.
Just weird. It's just weird how you find stuff like that. The same as like there are still some government computers working off of floppy disks.
Yep.
Not even 3.5. They're off the 5.25 bad boys. Oh gosh.
Oh, and probably somewhere there's got to be a government computer that's running the old 1970s,
punch cards.
No, the
reel-to-reels.
The reels.
Yeah.
All right, we got to bring this mother back to professional wrestling.
Broad shears and jeers. You watched the whole dang thing on Monday. Live.
I did. And what was my first text to you? What was my first text to you? Do you remember what it was?
I don't. I have to go back and look.
How can we call someone the main event when he's curtain jerking every single Raw? Come on, Jey Uso.
Apparently, the main event is now at the beginning of the show. Who knew?
Oh,
Who knew?
My goodness. So for those who are unaware, usually the first match of a card is considered the curtain jerking match. It is not curtain jerking in any sort of sick sense. It's just, that's what they call the curtain in front of the entryway that the wrestlers walk through. So, Jey, but I mean, I say that tongue in cheek. I get it. He is extraordinarily popular. He gets crowds hyped up. It is a very interesting situation he's in where he is one of these guys that no matter where they go, if he is the first one through, he gets the crowds hyped up. I mean, he gets everyone yeeting. It's just, it is really incredible to see the movement that is Jey Uso.
Yeah.
So I thought that was, just kind of a funny point to have him kick things off, but right away, because they start out in the crowd and I'm like, why are we looking at this crowd standing in front of this, this mural of New York culture and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden I see Jay start to creep up. I'm like, my God, he's like a ninja out of nowhere. Actually, it kind of foretold what his cousin was going to do later on, because we had, not so much the tribal chief more than it is your tribal ninja. So
it's the tribal sneak.
Because he got in, the crowd was going nuts. You knew something was happening, but you just couldn't see it. But no, I enjoyed the Jey Uso match. I did not enjoy seeing Grayson Waller get 10 to 15 minutes of TV time. I can't stand the man. And then his partner there drives me nuts also. But it was a serviceable match, and Jey Uso came out on top. But Gunther continuing to make Jey Uso's life a living hell, and will continue to do so. So I enjoyed that. I did enjoy the history that they showed of the steel cage matches of the past that took place in Madison Square Garden. Drawn from that history, I thought that was phenomenal, and absolutely enjoyed that. You're going to have to help me with some of it. I actually did not take notes because the last couple episodes we haven't really done a Raw cheers and jeers, so I thought this one we wouldn't.
I didn't really take a lot of notes per se. Like,
bit me.
I didn't get specific because honestly, like this episode of Raw, up until probably the main event, I was just like,
it was pretty blah. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't like newsworthy.
We've hit the saturation point of like, okay, it's the same people. Mm-hmm. We are in such a holding pattern with so many people. And I get believe me, I get like the idea of you got to book the main event because that's what's drawing the people. And then you do what you can, going downwards from there. Mm-hmm. I get that. However, I don't need to see Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez every single week. Yeah. I don't need to see whatever it is that the Judgment Day, like how the Judgment Day turns this week. Mm-hmm. It is like the most boring faction story in wrestling right now. Mm. Because nothing is going on. Nothing is happening with them. Like, oh, Finn Balor is going to challenge Braun Breaker for the IC belt. Who cares? Like, honestly, if you have Finn Balor take the IC belt now, it's like, now things have gotten even less interesting. Mm-hmm. Like, how is he a credible opponent for Braun Breaker?
Yep.
How? Like, please, let me know, like, how that works.
Yeah.
Do we need to see, like, Rey Mysterio again? Like, doing nothing.
Now,
like, not progressing really any. I mean, and hey, I love me some Rey Mysterio, but the fact is, like, Rey is several years past his prime now. He's not as quick. Again, I'm just impressed that the dude is still out there doing it.
Yeah.
But Rey is not really involved. Like this story, like whatever story he's kind of in, ain't really going nowhere really quick. Like Chad Gable, kind of funny. Like, oh yeah, okay, but still, like we're seeing the same. All it needed to have was the War Raiders have yet another match that is like kind of the same match. Like, is there only 10 wrestlers under contract for Raw?
But to their credit, I appreciated the fact. So I agree with you on some of those points. To their credit, though, they did not have Penta show up. They promoted Penta's
True.
appearance next week.
True.
When he fights Ludwig, is it Ludwig? Yeah, Ludwig
Kaiser.
In a no holds barred match, which will be interesting.
Great. But again, like there's got to be some other people, and there's got to be something you can do. Make the Judgment Day go away. I'm literally sick of them. Like Liv Morgan.
I'd love to see Carlito wrestle once. I mean, the guy's come back and he's hardly wrestled.
Well, I mean, hey, good for him. Just cash the checks, dude, and eat an apple. Like I can't begrudge him for that. But I mean, Liv Morgan was dynamite and has been dynamite when they put her in good spots. And now, not really even that interesting because she's now like glommed onto the Judgment Day, and it's just not interesting. Like the dynamic of Liv in the Judgment Day is not nearly as interesting as was Rhea in the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio still gets his heat, but what is he doing? Next to nothing. Like I've kind of hit this point now where I'm like, okay, you got to do something with these people.
Yeah.
Like do something, or even just show me some different people. Like, okay, yeah, you didn't drag out Penta. Terrific. But we still got everybody. We still got the usual suspects otherwise. I missed the first match because we were coming back from something, and with everything that went on, like I kind of picked up like right during the history montage. And I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily need to see Jey Uso kind of once again in a holding pattern, because ain't nothing progressing with this really. It's just kind of the same old. Like Gunther's going to kind of run him down and come out and sneak attack, and we're going to play this game for the next 4 weeks. Okay. But at least Grayson Waller was on there. It's like someone different on the TV. Woo! Like, I ain't seen him. Fine. That's the point I'm at. Anyways.
Well, I mean, if I go back to last Monday, though, I mean, there was no Lyra Valkyra. There was no... We did see Otis and his crew.
There's another one
briefly.
that the America or whatever, the Alpha Academy, that again, like, what purpose are they serving? What are they doing? Nothing. But yet they're still on my TV.
They weren't on this this episode.
Again,
I'm giving you examples of ways they're rotating people in and out. That's all I'm saying.
I guess maybe part of it is like just the Judgment Day. Like maybe that is like the big
drag. You are onto something there. The faction of the Judgment Day is serving no purpose at this point. And there needs to be either a split or some reformation into something else, because it isn't what it once was. It's a joke now. With Dominic, he's already done the tag path. He's not going to do that again. They're kind of stuck in terms of Breaker being the champ, because in all logic, Breaker is just going to blow through him, because Dominic doesn't really pose a serious threat.
The only way Dominic gets over is if essentially you ask him to borrow more of Eddie's shtick, and we get into lie, cheat, and steal.
Yeah, fair.
Which, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if anyone's going to do it, I mean, he's doing so well so far, stealing all that. I mean, it would make people hate him even more.
Yeah.
So I guess, but yeah.
But to your point, I'm trying to think about some other big players that are on the Raw roster right now that they could.
Wyatt Six, where have they been? Again, we keep hearing references about there's this thing on Twitter. I'm like, isn't that great? I haven't seen him on the TV screen. Haven't seen again. Anyways, let me actually get into a legit cheer here, because once we actually get towards the upper card, all of a sudden things are actually happening. So we'll skip everything else and we'll just get straight to Cody showing up. I give a cheer for Cody's promo, working with the crowd that he had, and kind of taking what they were giving him and kind of turning that around and playing off of them. I'm going to give a jeer because for Cody's promo, for WWE creative, leaving the guy all alone to sell this entire angle with 2/3 of the angle not present and not going to be present most of the time between now and WrestleMania. So Cody kind of has to basically doing the Clint Eastwood talk to an empty chair routine, which doesn't work very well, because you start getting into moments where the crowd gets bored and they start chanting for CM Punk in the middle of a Cody Rhodes promo, which is not ideal. because again, you've left this guy sitting out there with no one to play off of.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. Like, I get you want this angle, but I don't know. The foresight there.
Could I jump in for a minute?
Yeah, please.
So I'm looking at the Raw roster,
Mm-hmm.
and when you factor in injuries and stuff like that, they're actually using most of who they have, believe it or not.
Okay. It's probably just the fact that for me, like Judgment Day and Alpha Academy and some of the factions just they're not doing anything. There's no forward motion. They're just there.
So just to read off some names: AJ Styles, Tozawa, Asuka's injured right now. Austin Theory, Bailey, Bronson Reed's injured. Braun Breaker, Brutus Creed, didn't see him yesterday, saw him 2 weeks ago. Carlito, Chad Gable, CM Punk, Cruz del Toro, Finn Balor, Eric, Dragon Lee, Dom, Dakota Kai, Grayson Waller, Gunther, Elijah Dragunov. He is injured. Ivar, Ivy Nile, Joaquin Wilde, Jay Uso, JD McDonough, he's injured. Io Sky, Julius Creed, Kari Zane, Karrion Kross, Kiana James, Kofi Kingston, Maxine Dupree, Lyra Valkyra, Ludwig Kaiser, Logan Paul, Liv Morgan, Natalia, Otis, McAfee, Penta. I don't know why they listed Mac. Oh, he's an announcer. Penta, Pete Dunne, Raquel Rodriguez, Sami Zayn. He's injured right now. Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Shayna Baszler, Sheamus, Tyler Bate, who is injured, and Xavier Woods and Zoe Stark. So when I go through those names, some of the interesting folks you could interject are kind of injured right now. That would breathe some life into this. So I think some of this is injury and some of this is just, kind of the corners they booked themselves into.
I guess for me, a lot of it comes down to just like the factions. Okay. So thank you for giving that rundown, because it proves that I was wrong. You're right.
No. I don't say you're wrong. It's just,
I was.
It's a factor I didn't really think about was the size of the roster. Cause I'm trying to think who else could be, who could they pull from to rotate in?
Yeah, but no, I was wrong, because I was focusing on it's the same old people, and you prove the point that it isn't. They are rotating people through. So I'm fine with that. Like, I'm glad to be proven wrong. However, I think it kind of clarifies for me. It's just the non-movement with every single faction. There's nothing going on with any of these factions.
Yeah,
nothing. And it's like LWO not doing anything.
Yep.
American Made, not really doing anything. Like go get the gold, and okay. Alpha Academy, not doing anything. Freaking Judgment Day, not doing anything. Like, they're all just sitting there like a fart in a punch bowl. Like, okay, break some of these up, or actually have something going on. Find a way, Anyways,
no, I agree.
Let's see here. Let's go to another piece of let's head right towards the main event, because that's where it, kind of drew us here anyways. Cheer for the terrific use of the drone during the main event.
Yes.
When we had Seth and CM Punk at the top of the cage. Oh my gosh, that is what a drone camera is for, because it was making me feel a little bit dizzy. Like, I was getting that feeling in my stomach, like I was up there, and I'm like, this is the perfect use for this. And to the point that when they cut away to another camera, I'm like, no, I want to be back up there, even though it's making me feel like, weird. That was great. A big jeer here for Netflix censoring cuss words and middle fingers on the replay. Because I was watching this on the replay today. I'm like, what's the point of having it on Netflix?
Yeah.
If you're gonna cut to black when CM Punk flips someone the bird, I'm like, that used to be on USA Network with Austin on live television. And I'm sure it was live. Why are we, for the replay, all of a sudden trying to save everybody's, delicate sensibilities? Like, it was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Big cheer for all the close falls at the end of the main event. They managed to have a lot of close falls. They managed to use finishers multiple times and yet maintain drama through pacing, which just goes to show, like, how good these two guys are, because neither one of them is like the most flashy of workers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both they're not meat and potatoes, but they're not exactly like, this weird fusion cuisine that's like, oh, it's not like going to the hibachi and they freaking fireball comes at you or something. Like, this is it. They managed to do this by working emotion and just by reading the crowd and knowing pacing. And it was really kind of cool to watch. Like, that part was nice and old school. I don't know if this is so much a jeer as an observation, but Seth Rollins' voice is what a dented can of Mountain Dew Code Red would sound like. The whole like, come on, something about his voice, just his working voice, just annoys the ever loving hell out of me. It grates on every fiber of my being. It annoys me on a genetic level, which is great if he's a heel. If he's trying to be a good guy, though, it's tough. I've heard him speak in interviews, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can deal with this. But when he like amps it up, and we get the Seth freaking Rollins voice, I want to like jab a Sharpie into my ear. It's not good.
All right.
And even I've been.
Can I throw a
here.
non-cage cheer in? I very much enjoyed the Logan Paul segment with comedian Andrew Schultz.
That was good, although it felt like, again, like they're trying to have like Logan Paul cut a promo on behalf of Cena and The Rock. It's this weird thing where
yes and no. I liked the groveling, like, Rock, I'll take an opportunity. I love how they're just kind of laying Paul's character out there, that he is a groveling little crap who will take any opportunity and is happy to sell his soul for greater and greater personal gain. I love the Andrew Schultz part of it where he goes and talks to him. He's like, who'd you come to see? He's like, just like, Logan, no one came to see you. We all came to see Punk versus Rollins. What are you talking about?
That was good.
I thought that was phenomenal. We all came to see CM Punk, and the crowd, of course, going crazy. And then I love the physicality of bringing him in the ring, and Logan Paul about to do his finisher, and then Styles comes down, which I'm a little puzzled by, because I thought Styles was getting into it with Braun Breaker, and now apparently he's shifted into fourth gear and is now heading directly toward Logan Paul, which it really pains me to see where they're going with this, because it's going to lead to a Styles versus Paul match at WrestleMania, with probably Paul going over, because Styles is, like I've been reading a number of articles that are kind of hinting that he's kind of wrapping up his career. He's not doing this for much longer, understandably so. But it drives me nuts. Like, of all the people he could put over, why Logan Paul?
I think some of it comes down to like, who's he going to get the best match out of? Like, what match would
Dirty Dom? Like, seriously, Dom and him would be great.
But at the same time, like, what's going to get the most heat? What's going to get him over the most? And how can you get someone else over?
Yep.
I could see that, because at the same time, he's probably thinking like, if I go with Dom, they'll give us like 10, 15 minutes at WrestleMania. If I'm wrestling Logan Paul, I'll probably get 30, 40 minutes, like, it's just the
I don't even think it's the length of the match. I think it's the highlight, though. I mean, Paul does the high spots. He does like, kind of more of the daredevilish stuff. And, Dom is, Dom's heat is mostly from his character. It's not so much because of what he does in the ring, more than it is, the fact that he's just this chicken bleep that you just want to see get his tail kicked, and to your point, I mean, I just literally just came up with this now, but what a great angle it would be for him to play. In some ways, it's kind of like what Eddie Guerrero would do, but to basically, kind of sell himself as, this great wrestler as compared to AJ Styles, which, clearly he, you put AJ and him together, and who the real superstar and wrestler is. It's not Dom, it's him. But when you have that completely dissonant sort of heel who just believes in his own hype and just keeps, hyping himself over, it would go to the same end, though. But I would much rather see Dom get the rub from AJ, because Dom will be the future. Paul, I still, and again, I'm not trying to be a Mark fan here, but I'd rather see guys who have put the time into the business get the rub than someone who has built their popularity based on social media and happen to be athletic, you know?
Yeah.
That's the part it grates on me a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's almost like kind of a different version of the Miz in a way, but like I never felt like visceral hatred for the Miz other than, you know, just you know, how he played his character and that sort of thing. But with Paul, it's how he plays his character, but you know, also seeing stuff outside of wrestling, and I'm just like, I just don't like this guy. This guy's a tool, you know. So, anyways, so it we'll see where it goes, but I get it. I get the business. It's you know, Styles is on his way out, and I'm sure, you know, as a student of the game, he wants to give back to the business as he wraps up his career and give, you know, some of these younger guys a bit of a rub, you know, from someone as decorated as he. And these losses are not going to do anything to tarnish Styles as a wrestler. He will always, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think people see him as, you know, not, I'm not saying he's like Shawn Michaels, but he's like this generation Shawn Michaels from a work rate perspective. He is probably one of the strongest workers that's still on the roster.
That's why Taker wanted him for his last match.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And
He directly compared him to Michaels.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
You know,
He's a very physically gifted, just athletic, but also very attuned to the wrestling business and way to, you know, do matches. And just like I was watching a clip from TNA when Styles was being interviewed by Chris Van Vliet, and he was they were talking about this Ultimate X match he was in, where he was they did this spot where he was kind of hanging from the rope and he got like drop kicked or speared by someone. No, I think it was drop kicked. And when he let go of the rope, he just talks about how he thought he was going to paralyze himself. Like he thought he was going to land on his head the way he was turning. But when you watch him get hit and the way he's like, when you look back at, like, watch the replay, he's like, I tuck my neck so tight because I'm trying to protect myself. But you watch the way he like flips his body. The guy has so much control over his body. It's absolutely insane to watch.
Yeah.
And so, so all that to say that I just feel, you know, he and Paul are going to have a great match. I think it's going to be, you know, hotter than all get out. And when I mean that, but what I mean by that is the fans are going to be locked in. They're going to want to see Styles kick his rear end. They're not going to want to see Paul win, but they're going to put on a heck of a match. Probably Paul's going to go over, but this was a great way to kick that off. And you know, I would have liked to have heard a little bit more from Styles. You know, I feel in some ways they hold things back a little bit. Like as Paul was retreating down the aisle, I was so waiting for Styles to just, you know, kind of verbally tear into him a little bit. And, you know, I think it's best when you have in that situation, the baby face, you know, kind of really, you know, knock the heel down a peg, you know, like as he's retreating back. Like one of the most effective lines I think one can throw out there, and I thought it would be really appropriate for last night, is for him to call him a little bitch, you know, like based on what he did. You know, he was beating the crap out of a non-wrestler. He comes down, runs away from Styles, doesn't, you know, like just to play into the cowardice of the character and try to, you know, tease him to come back and all of that. And so I just felt like there was more that Styles could have said, but yeah. I think overall, to kick it off, if this is where they're going, I think it was a good start.
I wonder if some of that wasn't a timing issue.
It could be. But you know, after that, so we got Uso start. We have the Cody promo like you talked about, but then we get to the cage match. I'm going to say right off the back, one of my biggest cheers for this match was for Rollins and Punk not to do some stupid stunt off the top of the cage.
When Punk went up there to the top, I was like, haven't we seen enough old guys go
all
up
I
to
could
the
think
top
of
the cage?
was Cope.
Oh,
Cope,
frack.
Edge.
Cope, Edge. It's Edge. Or Adam, whatever you want to call him. Mr. Copeland.
I'm just like, Punk, can we not have you injure yourself trying to do some stupid elbow drop from the top?
Well, the thing is, I think in a way it was almost like act like you're going to do that and everyone's gonna be like, no,
Right.
like,
Right.
for real, like just please, dear
Yep.
God, no, you're gonna fracture your tibia.
But what a great way they did it, where it, Rollins turned it into a basic superplex. I mean,
Yes.
like when Punk's body is just hanging off the top of the cage, and all he's got to do is just fall backwards. It
Yeah.
was like,
Great setup.
that was the safest way to do that spot, and great use of the cage. They both, laid into each other, throwing each other into the side of the cage. I think Punk did the face rake with Seth Rollins
I
across.
think they both did.
Did they both?
At
Okay.
one point, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think Rollins raking Punk across the cage was actually better than Punk raking Rollins. Like Rollins really kind of focused on the face, and Punk kind of just like took his whole body. He was like, "Mah." I'm like, okay, he's not a block of Parmesan.
No,
like just focus on one body part.
But the thing that killed me was, I almost felt, if there was one thing I will knock the match for, I thought they went overboard with the finisher near fall combos, because what does it mean when you do like a curb stomp a couple times and they're still kicking out? Like, how do you put them away at that point? Like, that's the part I have a hard time with. It's like, fine if he kicks out once, fine if he kicks out a second time, but don't 3 times is too much. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you do run out of tricks to pull.
And supposedly they're getting
like
more gassed as the match is going, so in theory, if you do it 3 times, you should put the guy away.
Yeah.
So
I did appreciate the way that they each offered the other a chance to walk away.
Yes.
Like take the easy way out, because one of my jeers here is I do not like the new rules, and by new I mean like the past like 20 years or so. The new rules for cage matches. I don't like the idea that you can get pinfalls and submissions.
Oh, really?
I do not like it. I don't like it. I want those guys. I want someone to have to escape from the cage. Like, I want that to be the drama, because otherwise, like, yeah, it's nice, but you're just having a regular match inside a cage. We already have Hell in a Cell for that, and it's better for a situation like this. If you're gonna have a standard old school cage, and I mean, we're not getting the old blue bar, jungle gym cage back, probably for the best. If you're gonna have like a cage with an open top, the point should be that you have to escape the cage. And if I remember right, like back in the day, like you couldn't go through the door when it was the jungle gym cage. Like you had to climb it. And I still think that is the way to go. Like that makes that match different. The same as Hell in a Cell is to contain those two and to make sure this is settled, to settle the business, and anything goes. And okay, fine, pins and submissions in that, because you can't. The whole point is to not escape. For a cage match, what the hell's the point if you can tap someone out? Like, no, I want to see you have to knock that person down long enough for you to get over the cage. But that's just my opinion. But I mean,
I see your point. I acknowledge.
You vociferously disagree. It's okay.
I acknowledge your point, my tribal chief.
Thank you, Shmuley.
Can't
raise the one too high. Go out of view.
Yes. There is, even going back to the 80s when they had the jungle gym cage, I, for whatever reason, and I don't have a good explanation, I never liked the idea of just finishing a match by one of the guys walking away from the other, like leaving the cage, that sort of thing. I understand that is, it turns the cage into more of a survival match where it's more about, can you outsmart your opponent and get out of it? But when they moved to the chain link fence, and when they moved to it being pinfalls and submissions, I thought it brought a layer of strategy and kind of viciousness to it that was lacking before. Because again, your opponent's goal is to get away from you and to leave the cage. And like that feels awkward to me when you're talking about combat sports where you're trying to prove yourself.
Well, but in a way, it's like you literally have to incapacitate your opponent longer. And that's longer than a 3 count.
Yeah.
It takes longer than 3 seconds, however dramatic of a count you want, in order to get your ass up over that cage.
What if I offer this in my head canon? If I were to reshape what a steel cage match would be, chain link fence. There is no escaping the cage, though, even though it's open. But here's the survival part of it. Submission only. You have to make your opponent either pass out or tap out. Would that give it a different flavor at that point?
It would, but it also limits who's going to do it because
maybe.
One, I disagree with just on the fact that like if escaping the cage is not an option in order to win, then you're no different than Hell in a Cell. You're dealing with two different cage or elimination chamber for that matter.
You are different than Hell in a Cell because you can't just bring weapons in indiscriminately because you are confined to the ring.
Okay, but it's still
a wall around it. It keeps people out.
Hell in a Cell.
It keeps people out.
Not really, because they could come in over the top, and it is a no DQ because I mean there's no rope break. So I mean essentially that's the thing. Like I don't like it because it blends. You start getting everything to kind of be the same type of match. And that's what I feel the beauty of it is.
But like last night when Rollins is standing by the door and he could have easily walked out the door and won the match, and he's inviting, Punk, to take that road. That's where that aspect of winning just feels weak to me because it's like you're not dominating your opponent at that point. You're simply finding a way out.
Yes, but that's also because it's taking place in a world where you can still pin somebody. So it is a standard, and that's the manly man way to go. But whereas if it's like there's no pinfalls or submissions, you just literally have to beat the living hell out of your opponent and incapacitate them long enough for you to then climb one side of the cage and climb down the other side. Okay. Not going out the door, but you have to get up over the cage.
Yeah,
that's a long that person has to be done.
Yeah,
in order to get enough of a head start that you can get over the cage. To me, that brings out that brutality because there is no other option.
I think we're going to agree to disagree. I think we need to move on to. But I want to say I get where you're coming from. I do understand there is a lack of difference between Hell in a Cell and a steel cage with the way they have it structured. You have a point. I think maybe if they did it submission only, that'd be kind of interesting. But that's just me.
I think it would be interesting if you had that as a stipulation for type for people who could do submissions. But it's like when you have almost like when Steve Austin, Bret Hart, it's like, okay, one has a submission move, the other one does not.
or submission only, best 2 out of 3 falls in the cage. What do you say? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Too much.
Anyway. Come on. All right.
So I'm imagining we're getting into post-match shenanigans now.
Post-match ballyhoo. Seth is
spoiled for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was.
What do you mean? How did I spoil it for you?
Because I had mentioned me going to this wrestling show in Portland, and then you're like, I joked, like, you think Roman Reigns is going to show up, and you're like, well, he showed up on Raw. And I was like, oh.
You made the joke. I had to finish it.
I hadn't watched the show.
I
hadn't finished the show yet.
All right, I apologize.
Shame.
I apologize.
Shame. Where's Hannah Waddingham? What do you need her?
Ding ding.
Probably
ding.
on a beach somewhere with a Mai Tai. I'm guessing.
She felt a tremor in the force. Someone was invoking the shame.
She's like, some little pissant in New England is making a joke about me.
I apologize, but hey, to your credit, sir, I haven't been to an indie show in a long time. I mean, ECW, and I really shouldn't even call that indie because it was ECW. That was the closest I came to an indie show.
Yeah.
But I am curious. I want to hear a full report from you, sir. When you go to the show, I'm curious what you think. But yes, we have Seth Rollins cannot put away Punk. Punk cannot put away Rollins, but Rollins is sitting on the mat in the corner that is closest to the door, figuring out what to do next. And all of a sudden, you hear the crowd go crazy. I had a feeling we would see Reigns tonight make an appearance. And sure enough, the door is wide open because, of course, Seth is close to it. The refs have to open the door to allow, the participants to exit if they so choose. And, well, Reigns kind of gives Seth Rollins an involuntary exit, drags his rear end right out of the ring.
Out of the ring, yes.
Giving him the win, by the way, which is really, really smart, because while Rollins beats Punk can then come back and say, no, you didn't really beat me. Your lackey, your other buddy there, helped you, but then summarily beat the crap out of him afterwards.
From pillar to post. Like it was actually refreshing to see Roman Reigns being legit vicious.
Yes.
Like, because this was one of my frustrations with you before with the character of like, okay, there's this whole like aura of, oh my gosh, he's out of control, or he's this killer. And it's like, we never see it. Well, we saw it. I was like, oh, good. Here's an example. This is helpful. Beat the living hell out of Rollins. Until he was separated. He was going to do a stomp on Rollins on the steel stairs.
He did do a stomp on the floor, and then he set him up on the stairs, and then he got stopped by Smoking Adam Pearce, because no one has more stress and goes through more packs of menthols than Adam Pearce.
Do we call him Smoking Adam Pearce or Twitchy? I'm almost thinking like Twitchy.
I like Smoking. I just have this. Ever since a year and a half ago, when you painted that very vivid picture of him just like being this close to having a mental breakdown, just smoking the cigarettes, just like, I can't deal with these people.
It would be, of course now smoking is frowned upon and all that, and like you can't even really do it on like TV anymore. No. But it would have been great, like if you could still do that, and literally that was just his gimmick now. Like he's smoking like a chimney, and he finally, like, the only thing that elevates him even more is like you see him just like that one thing that just tips him over the edge, and he has a cigarette, and he's like takes it, just pinches off the filter, like, screw it.
Yep.
I need to hit the real stuff.
Okay, I don't want to distract, but I just want to ask real quick: did you ever see the match where Ron Killings, when he was wrestling for WWE and he started the whole Jimmy thing where he's talking to this invisible friend, did you ever see the match where that all started, where he had this, like, they made it out to be like he was having a mental breakdown, and he lit up a cigarette live on TV? No. And he was walking around just kind of talking to himself, smoking a cigarette, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? Like, in the middle of the match, like, his opponent was down on the outside, and he's just like, you can tell he's losing it. And he goes and grabs something from under the ring, and it's like a pack of cigarettes, and he has a cigarette in his mouth, and he lights it, and he's like, "Arr, arr," and he's just, and there's smoke coming out, and you're just like, what am I watching?
I'm gonna have to look that up.
But
now. This
started the Ron Killings mental tour at that point, because then he started talking to his imaginary friend, Little Jimmy, and it was just like we were off to the races. But what I want to talk about finally is what happened in the ring, and how it ended.
We never even saw Paul Heyman waddle his way to the ring.
We did not. The wise man somehow,
I don't know how they stuck that in there. It's a cloaking device or something.
Somehow
they
beamed him into the ring is what my headcanon tells me. And there he is holding CM Punk, consoling, at least that's what I thought, until I
cradling him almost.
Cradling him. Except I thought some more about the look on his face. And I am now wondering if what we think was concern and care for Punk was abject horror, because as he's holding Punk, I wonder if we're going to find out if Punk is cashing in on the favor with him saying, I want Rollins and I want the tribal chief at WrestleMania.
Which I think the way they played that was great, because the way that you could tell, like, Roman was looking at it like, what's he doing? But then it was like, oh, he's setting him up for me. Like, there's this kind of like, oh, thank you, Wiseman. That was, you're one step ahead. And then you see Heyman over in the corner, like, oh, crap.
Yeah, he's just like,
not good.
Nope.
No, that was great. That was fantastic.
That was a great, so overall, great match. Mm-hmm. Great hype for the match. And by the way, I love the beginning when Punk's getting in the ring and Rollins throws his robe at him and just starts pounding the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Like, that is the level of vitriol that these two have, and that should be what plays out. Just well booked.
Mm-hmm.
WWE hitting on all cylinders.
For that match, at least, yes.
yeah, the rest of the event was very forgettable. I found plenty to do in the meantime and was not missing very much. I think I was balancing my checkbook as well during that. So,
Oh, you still do that? Good for you.
well, I do it through Quicken. I have Quicken, so I like to go through my my debits and make sure they match up with my bank. So I was not watching some of the show, and I wasn't missing much in the process. By the way, last cheer, Chad Gable, and who I believe to be. I'm wondering if we're going to see the debut soon of Ray Phoenix, who is Penta's brother, as the twin American-made masked character that we saw there. I love that whole back and forth between him and, is it Kathy Kennedy? Is that her name? Kathy?
Yes, I believe so.
By the way, Kathy was looking interesting. And then that one was just like, good Lord. I know we're in New York, but come on.
That whole exchange backstage was rather interesting.
Where she's just accusing him.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see in the background some masked character who's dressed like the guy. And you're like,
and Gable doesn't even really get mad at her. He's like, New York security.
Yeah, I know. Gable was an absolute treasure last night.
How like if Gable doesn't like get some type of like
give him the IC belt for crying out loud, please.
Anything. Has he held any titles at this point?
Maybe tag.
Are you serious?
Tag.
Well, yeah, but he hasn't had a singles title.
Mm-mm. He had that great set of matches with Sammy, but Sammy, held on to the belt. He had a great set of matches with Gunther, but Gunther, of course, couldn't be defeated. It wasn't the right time. So I hope at some point soon here he gets rewarded, and if they have Breaker as more of a babyface kind of killer character, and Gable kind of pulls one out on him, I think that would be wonderful because he needs it. He would be so entertaining as a champion, just this chicken bleep sort of heel champion. I think Gable would. Oh, he'd be wonderful.
The thing that he suffers from is essentially he is like a Kurt Angle kind of clone, and in all the best ways. Like, he's a hell of a worker, and he has great comedic timing.
Why they went with Jason Jordan as Kurt's illegitimate son and not Chad Gable?
Probably because it's too obvious.
I mean, honest to God, you look at Gable, you're like, he could fit that 100%.
It's mini Kurt.
It's
very odd. It's very odd.
I mean, to see the two of them side by side would be just the strangest, because they are, physically similar. Gable has adopted a lot of, I'm not saying he's trying to imitate Angle, but he just has a lot of the same mannerisms in the way he presents himself.
Yeah.
And he's so entertaining, which is how Angle was.
Oh yeah. Cause he's not, I think there was a video with Angle where, one of the reasons why he felt so comfortable being kind of comic relief and doing all the comedic stuff is he's like, I know legit I can beat up anybody. Like, it's just not even a factor. Like, there's no like question about, am I tougher? Yeah. It's like, yeah, I know I could probably shoot with anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned about that. So it made him very relaxed in terms of like going out and cracking wise and doing a lot of the comedic stuff. And it was gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anywho.
I think that wraps up our Raw cheers and jeers. Once again, I think we got a little long in the tooth.
We did, but we are going to head on to the main topic here because quick program announcement. We are going to save our Week in Geek for next week when the man they call Tim is going to be traveling for work and we won't be recording. So we're going to try a little experiment. We're going to have a separate section of Week in Geek that we're going to
on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again.
Deep in the heart of Texas. So we're gonna have that for you next week. So we're gonna jump right into our main topic, but not before I take a brief 30-second time.
Of course. The bladder does call.
Consistent.
You are, if nothing else.
Just because I'm not wearing a diaper like you do.
It's not a diaper, sir. It is a bladder o' steel, is what we're talking here.
You have a bucket underneath there. You're just muting the mic. Yeah, this is getting bad.
Quite possibly.
A few moments later.
All right, and we are back with our main topic, Captain America, Brave New World. That is, it's great. I keep saying like wanting like New World Order or something like that. I don't know. It's like Revenge of the Jedi. How Hogan gets into the movie. Like, oh my gosh. But I am going to be trying to remember this movie because I saw it almost a month ago. You, however, have seen it more recently, so I'm going to be relying on you for some of the finer details.
I honestly don't think you missed that much.
Well, I saw it.
You saw it, but I mean, yeah. Let's talk about it.
So what were your thoughts, sir? Since you are the more recent viewer, so you sure you're not going to light up? Let me tell you something. I've seen some things.
Pardon me as I do a Ron Killings impression here. No, I felt it was trying to be a good entry into this phase of the MCU. I think what and this is telling. My wife had not seen the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So when we came out of the theater, I asked her what she thought, and she's like, "Oh, I really liked it. I thought that was really well done." And I'm like, "So were you surprised by what happened at the end?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, that was really." And that to me was the difference, because what I came away with, and I was pissed off at Marvel for. And I know I get it. I get marketing. I know why they do some of these things. So I'm not trying to say why did you do this and not understand it. But the revelation of Red Hulk in the trailer was the stupidest freaking move that they could have made. And I knew that as soon as we got to the aircraft carrier where the leader is trying to push Ross over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here like, this is what we're building up to. The thing that I know is coming is the thing we're building up to.
Yeah.
I was pissed because it kills the movie for me. And the other part of it as well was, I appreciate they're trying to draw on the history of Incredible Hulk, the Ed Norton version of it, which was the movie just before Iron Man and kind of.
No, I think it was.
I thought it was 2007 and then Iron Man was 2008.
Well, Tony's in the post credits. Tony Stark shows up.
Oh, was it after Iron Man?
I think so, but I think because the reason it was borderline.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Ed Norton? That was Mark Ruffalo. Was Mark Ruffalo have his own Incredible Hulk? Right? No, it was Ed Norton.
Because for the longest time, at the time, Universal had or was it Universal?
Let me look real quick.
I think it's Universal had the rights to the Hulk.
Okay.
Because again, that was part of the great Marvel sell-off.
Yeah.
Where they had sold off a lot of their heroes, which is why we got Iron Man as the first MCU hero, because that was the best they had left.
Okay, it was Edward Norton. Yes.
Yeah, and so it was Ed Norton, and the problems there were the fact that it was not under the Marvel banner. It was I believe it was Universal Studio. Universal made it. However, they had a working arrangement. So Tony Stark did show up in a post-credit scene with Ross, talking about putting together a team. So you had that tie to it, but the fact that Ed Norton did not want to play the character after that, and there was so much friction there, and they weren't going to make any more Hulk movie. It was just it was kind of MCU adjacent,
yeah,
in a way.
Yeah.
This kind of brings it, when they brought oh my gosh, what's the dude's name? The Abomination in She-Hulk.
Emil Blonsky?
Yeah, when they brought him in, then it was like, okay, now this is officially canon.
Yeah.
This is official canon.
Yeah.
Even though we did get Thunderbolt Ross in other stuff, but I mean, this was like, okay, now we're really talking about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I did appreciate the fact that we did get the leader. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, I like that. I agree.
I would agree. Like, yeah,
But I started down a road. Can I just say? Can I finish the thought?
Yeah, I don't even know why I necessarily interrupted you.
No, it's okay. So the thing I felt was a bit of a stretch was trying to bring us back to Thunderbolt Ross and the relationship with his daughter.
Yes.
It felt it did not carry the emotional gravitas that I think they were going for, and I think that was because One, it had been so much time since the '08 movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do I care? You know, we have not heard from Betsy Ross for all of this time.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I felt the effort that was put into telling the story of him atoning for his ambition and for some of the decisions that he has made in the past. Because to be honest, you know, the Thunderbolt Ross character was, in wrestling parlance terms, kind of a heel. You know,
Yeah.
like he has been a thorn in the Avengers side. He was the one that pushed the Sokovia Accords. He was the one that pushed the events of Civil War because of that. And, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, what Sam says in the movie, you know, Ross has always been about Ross.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's been enough of a turnaround for me to buy into that, you know, where he's trying to make amends with his daughter. I get what they were trying to do. I appreciate the fact that they used, you know, the scene by the Potomac, you know, where you know, it's the cherry blossom area where he shared that memory with her. That was the calming effect that took him down from being the Hulk. But I just, it was almost like too much disjointed stuff trying to be brought together, and it's like it wasn't earned. You know, we've said that a few times about other movies and about DC and that sort of thing. This time in Marvel's case, it felt like it wasn't earned.
Yeah, no, you're totally correct. They DC'd the trailer. They totally gave away everything in the trailer.
Yep.
To the point where it's like, okay, now I know exactly what the main, you know, I essentially know what the climax of the movie is. Great. Super. I don't think you're going to kill Cap, so I'm pretty sure I know how this is going to work. And I agree. I think that wasn't the best way to go. And I think, you know, this movie had a very public, you know, rewrites and reshoots. Seth Rollins, who we were just talking about, had a prominent role in this and is just not even in the movie anymore. And I'm guessing that he was taken out in favor of Giancarlo Esposito. I would almost lay odds that was a 1-for-1 swap. I think the biggest problem here is that, like you say, going back to the whole Betsy Ross thing, it's cute, but you don't really earn it. And especially where it's a different actor, it really feels like you didn't earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he's playing the same character and I can suspend disbelief, but at the same time, it lacks that gravitas of it being the same guy, you know?
Yeah.
The other part that you're missing is the fact that Bruce Banner is nowhere to be seen. And Bruce Banner was the reason why there was problems between, you know, was a big part of the problems between father and daughter. And for that guy to not even be there again,
Right.
it's like we're going back to Cody cutting a promo on two guys who ain't in the building and who aren't going to be in the building, and one who we might not see until WrestleMania. So it's like you're really cutting the legs out from under this whole thing by not having one of the players there. There's one thing that I thought was great. This was posted by Mark Bernardin, who's Kevin Smith's, you know, partner on Fat Man Beyond. He's been a reporter for Entertainment Weekly. He's a screenwriter in his own right, and generally just a really sharp cat. He posted a series of thoughts on apparently Blue Sky Social that I saw on Instagram. And so I'm just going to quote this because it won't take too long to read this. But the more I think about Captain America, it takes a nation of red Hulks to hold us back, which, damn, that's a good title. The more disappointed I am that Marvel refuses to engage with the Isaiah Bradley story, a black soldier victimized and brutalized by the U.S. government, all to replicate Steve Rogers, seems narratively juicy. And of course, now it's not going to advance. There we go. Especially, hang on a second. Especially as a counterpoint to Sam Wilson's own ambivalence towards the government. But Isaiah remains on the periphery, almost as an avatar of atrocities rather than as a full character with his own complete story. We get sketches of him when we deserve all of him. Why couldn't Cap for real have been a bit Manchurian Candidate meets Godfather Part 2? Play Isaiah as a legit presidential assassin in the front story, then flash back to his origins and show why he might have a legitimate grudge against an American commander-in-chief. And Sam is caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit about the Serpent Society or the leader or teensy ex-assassins. If you need a Red Hulk, fine. But the heart of Captain America has always been, how much will this man sacrifice to do what's right for his country? To steer away from that because it's also a black story. And then he has a picture of a dude going, whack. I agree. Isaiah Bradley was wasted in this. And I think as a standalone movie, I enjoyed the movie. I'll say that. I didn't think it was great, but it wasn't bad. Where it looks bad is when you then hold it up next to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and how thought-provoking parts of that were, and how there was some gut check moments for people in that where you're like, oh, okay, so we're gonna talk about real stuff here. Okay, right on. And to bring Isaiah Bradley into the story and then to just kind of treat him as like, oh, and we've got to save Isaiah, that sort of like, it did. It felt like you're just using him as like this living, breathing MacGuffin that you have to go chase, when there is a story with him. There is a story with that character. And it would have been, I think it would have been a great call to go with that, to really dig into that character and find out like more about him. And I think one of the comments on that bit was someone, let's see here, ARF Studios, great username. The movie should have started off with a flashback scene of Isaiah Bradley in the Korean War wearing a cap suit and then getting apprehended by a young Ross who puts him in prison to be experimented on. I'd rather have seen that than a newsreel of Ross's rise to presidency. Again, like, yeah, there's stuff you could have done here, and it feels like there's chances they could have taken. There's narratively juicy, to borrow Mark's phrase, directions you could have gone, and they just didn't take them. And I don't know if it was playing it safe or if this is like movie by committee or what, but this definitely could have been better for sure.
Yeah.
And by better, I mean it could have been a richer, deeper story. And unfortunately, we didn't get that.
You know what we got?
What?
The hand coming out of the ocean. The Eternals reign supreme.
We did get adamantium, so I mean,
Hey, shing shing.
Schnick schnick, yeah.
Oh, schnick schnick. Sorry.
It's all good. All right. So now that you've gotten our thoughts, now on to the really important part. The part that's going to determine where our leaderboard goes, and where is our leaderboard right now, Tim?
Our leaderboard is as follows. Let me just pop it up here. Right now, we have the man they call Tim, 11.5 points to Uncle Todd's 6.
Yeah, I am getting a prison pounding right now. It's not good. So we will see how this turns out.
It is a whooping of galactic proportion. No, it's not galactic yet. It's got to get it to at least 15, 20. By the way, I dropped a link to R-Truth smoking.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I was a little worried there when you said you dropped a link. I'm like, I thought you were staying strong over there.
Come on now. What is that about?
I don't know. I thought you pooped your pants.
I did not.
Anyways,
said pants. Would
you even say anything if you did?
I might.
You'd no-sell that. Texting your wife, send me down some new drawers. All right.
I got one word. Depends.
We're heading down a bad road here.
Hey, we're a bad man is what we are. Oh, bring it. Bring it as we start in or out for Cap 4.
Did we did it?
Did we did it now?
I think we done did it, John.
Chaos, you should have put this one in the vault, man.
Yeah, we should have.
They not ready. They don't know what's coming.
They're not ready.
No, we're not ready.
They are not ready.
Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready
Hit
for
it.
none of this. Your boy's a bad man. Then we invading the streets, make them clap a rapper skirt. They be dropping the heat, shock the world. Now I'm standing alone. I flip through
Giancarlo Esposito is listening to this and he's driving around.
That's the other disappointment. Sidewinder? Could we have not got a little more other than just him, doing some exposition at, late in the movie? It's just like it just.
Well, you're restricted because you have to cut around that character being completely reshot.
Yeah, and you can't. I don't want to say you can't kill him off, but there was clearly a design here to keep him intact for future movies, right? And don't get me wrong, Sam Wilson as a character, solid Captain America. This is not about him not living up to the moniker.
That's the shame of it. Is it feels like we're wasting Captain America. We're wasting Sam Wilson.
It's everything that happened around him. Like Harrison Ford, I think was a great fill-in for Thunderbolt Ross. I thought he did a good job. But again, it was the story being told, and I wish that they had invested a little bit more, or at least done something to reacclimate the audience to the relationship there. I think you bring up a key point, which is how do you do that without Banner? Because Banner was, in a lot of ways, that thing that drove
use the
Ross.
wedge driving them apart in a way.
Exactly. And you can't really finish that story without coming back full circle if you're really trying to do it justice. And so
it doesn't really work that well because in all the interactions before that, like there's never been that real friction between the two. Like I don't think there's ever been a face-to-face between them in other movies. So again, it comes out of nowhere.
And the same thing with the leader. Like, my wife didn't know about that character. I mean, it didn't interrupt her enjoyment of the movie, but when I explained to her who that character was and the fact that he started all the way back in 2008 with that movie and why that was significant, it's not like it enhanced her understanding of the movie. It was just more of kind of that's an interesting factoid, like more than anything. Mm-hmm. Quick question for you. I know we want to get to the picks here, but were you disappointed that this wasn't a big brained, big headed, leader, and that it was more about, just it being more grotesque?
I was hoping for I was hoping for a little of both, a little of big brain and grotesque. But what are you going to do?
Do you think they? I'm not trying to draw a line that's not there, but do you think maybe they shied away from that because of what they tried to do in Ant-Man 4 with what the heck was it?
MODOK.
MODOK. Like, remember how like cheesy MODOK ends up coming off, even though they really tried to do a true kind of comic book representation of him. I part of me wonders if they took that into account when they made the decision to go more the direction they did with the leader.
Maybe. The problem was with MODOK, it wasn't so much the look, because he had appeared in something else, and Patton Oswalt had voiced him. And I think the problem was just the way that they portrayed the character. It wasn't so much the look, because the look is how the characters looked before, and the characters managed to be scary in comics and stuff. But I mean, just the way they portrayed him just made him look like a doofus instead of any kind of, threat.
Yeah. Well,
anywho,
I hope when we get to so my wife has already said Thunderbolt, she's interested. She's in on Thunderbolts. So
I am too, but I'm a little nervous. Just
I have faith in Flo. I have a faith in Flo.
Yeah, there is Florence to count on there.
Yes.
Have you seen any like her interviews? Like, for whatever reason, I went through a big Flo like influx on my suggested reels and stuff on Instagram.
Okay.
Just seeing her like doing interviews and stuff like that, like that's kind of a person I want to hang out with.
Oh yeah.
She seems like she'd be a freaking hoot to hang around
with. My wife and I are big fans of hers. I mean, she's like the honey badger. She don't give an F.
No, and that's what I kind of dig about her, is that there is that attitude of like whatever. I like that.
100%. All right. Well, with our disappointment and our hopes and dreams dashed, let us get into the real or jabroni to review how we adjudicate this.
It's going to be some wreckage right here.
2 points for a sole correct answer for an individual. 1 point if we both get the answer correct. 0 points if we both get the answer wrong. All right. Mm-hmm. This one, we start with in or out. This is all about characters that will or will not appear in the movie. Number 1, the Incredible Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, will make an appearance. We both said jabroni. The final adjudication on that is jabroni. We did not get the Incredible Hulk. So from a points perspective, Man They Call Tim gets 1. Uncle Todd gets 1. All right. Number 2, an Eternal will make an appearance. We both said the real. That was a big old jabroni. Although I argue with the number of reporters that we saw, there is the potential for an Eternal to be nested in there to ensure that events play out as intended. So I'm just saying.
You know, you're slippery as a greased weasel, but it ain't going to work.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Gorilla. All right. Number 3, Star-Lord will make an appearance, real or jabroni. We both said the jabroni on that, and we both get a point for being at least somewhat intelligent on that one. Number 4, this is where the wheat is separated from the chaff. Wong will make an appearance.
Chaff your ass.
Uncle Chat my ass? What? Uncle Todd said the real. I said the jabroni, and that was a big old jabroni. So, man, they call Tim gets jabroni. 2 points. Thank you very much for giving me the jabroni on that one. All right, number 5, Doctor Strange will make an appearance. We both said jabroni, and that was a jabroni. So we both get a point on that one. Number 6, one or more of the Thunderbolts will make an appearance, and by Thunderbolts we mean Flo, Bucky, Red Guardian, John Walker, aka U.S. Agent, Taskmaster, or Ghost. We got ourselves a full-blown Bucky sighting. So that is a real, and we each get a point for keeping the faith and believing that we would at least get someone in there from that group. Number 7, Sharon Carter will make an appearance. We both said the real. Jabroni. That is a big old jabroni. So no points. Oops. Almost gave each other 9 points right there. All right. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, will make an appearance.
Spider-Man.
We both said jabroni, and that was a jabroni.
Mm-hmm.
War Machine, and this one I was surprised by. Where is Rhodey right now? Where is he?
I don't know.
You can't get any closer to the government than Rhodey.
Working in a Dairy Queen in Davenport, Iowa, apparently. I have no idea.
Let me go. Let me do my thing. War Machine will make an appearance. Oh, Uncle Todd said the real.
I did?
You did. I said jabroni. 2 points for the man they call Tim. Ba-bam.
I like a Mussolini.
You can play that all you want. You made your choice. You got to live with it now. Number 10, The Punisher will make an appearance. We both said jabroni. That was a big old jabroni. We got no Punisher.
Oh, well. Soon, though. Soon.
You know what? This I got to tell you, sir, though, you're racking up quite a few points here. You know, even though we're tied, you're getting some.
Yeah, but you're ahead. You're getting more.
I know, but I'm just trying to be positive for you.
As Buford T. Justice once said, "Some bitch." Next.
Oh.
Do you know that actually came from Burt Reynolds' dad?
What's that?
So Buford T. Justice, when he says "some bitch" instead of "son of a bitch,"
yeah,
that came from Burt Reynolds' dad.
Really?
Burt Reynolds suggested that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is funny. And he says he says that during that birthday thing too. When he comes in, he's like, "You some bitch."
It's part of the Buford T. Justice thing. Like the thing is, like it wouldn't surprise me if that was like Jackie Gleason getting into character, like just putting on the thing and then look in the mirror and just some bitch.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Yeah, yeah. That's
just the one word. It's like Bucky, hearing boxcar, blah blah blah. It's like all of a sudden, boom, I'm there.
Yep. She-Hulk will make an appearance. We both said jabroni. Oops. Jabroni. Apparently, I think I just dumped some bourbon on my desk here. Hold on a second.
He's pouring bourbon on himself to cover up the pee.
I went to go type, and I'm like, oh, there's a liquid here.
Sure, I meant to go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The man they call Tim has officially urinated on himself. It only took 198 shows that I know of.
A mutant, number 12, a mutant will be part of the story. We both said the real. That was a jabroni. Yeah. Jabroni! So no points for us there. The dancing helmet Zemo will make an appearance. Number 13, we both said jabroni. That was jabroni. We were correct on that front.
Shame.
So this one's interesting. Number 14, Wakanda will be a setting in the film. I don't know. Cap had some vibranium wings that he got from Wakanda. So do we count that as a setting?
No, it's not a setting. It's a mention. A setting would be like when they show up and you see Wakanda at the bottom.
I kind of think because we had the vibranium wings, we had something from Wakanda present. It was in a way a setting.
Jabroni.
Mark it jabroni, you weasel.
All right, I did. You get 2 points. I'm not proud of it. All right.
You shouldn't be.
Number 15. Number 15.
Just sit there and be wrong and sit there in your wrongness.
All right. Black Panther will make an appearance. We both said jabroni. And that was a jabroni. Let's get a point. Number 16, Kate Bishop, the one who will take the torch from Hawkeye and carry it forward.
Nouveau Hawkeye.
That's right. I think she was there with the reporter crew. That is in my headcanon, and unfortunately, we have disqualified all headcanon from this. So, jabroni it is. We each get a point. Number 17, Hawkeye will make an appearance.
Hawkeye. What was up with that pronunciation?
I don't know. I just went.
All of a sudden, you just had to go French. The Hawkeye.
The Hawkeye, oui, oui. He did not make an appearance. That is a jabroni. 1 point each for us, as we both gave it a jabroni. Ironheart will make an appearance. Apparently, she's sleeping on the job because she did not show up. That is a jabroni on that front.
She had a test she had to study for.
That's right. That's right. Once again, the wheat are separated from the chaff. Number 19, Emil Blonsky will make an appearance. Uncle Todd said the real.
I thought I saw him in the background of one of those press scrums.
It is a jabroni, full through and through. 2 points.
I like a Mussolini.
The man, jabroni. Do you want me to tabulate where we are right now?
Nah, just save it for the end.
Just keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of maths I need to be doing later on here. So.
Do you have it? Do you have it set up so that it tabulates automatically? Or are you going through here and doing this on your own?
It does not. This is a table in Word, so I cannot do equations and functions in this.
Oh boy.
So yes, I need to go through and do a manual tabulation. So you'll have to vamp a little bit for me here while I do that later on.
Oh gee, we know what happens when I vamp.
I know. It all goes wrong.
All right. I have to call Patrick and get our legal team on standby.
There it is. All right, number 20. Actually, before I get to number 20, we now move on.
Can I tell you where he's planning to work after he finally gets his qualifications in order, his bona fides?
No, you have not.
There is. Gosh, you're gonna love this.
Oh boy.
He's going to start his own firm. It's going to be called Patrick, and Patrick.
Okay.
And it's going to only be him. But in order to make it look like three people, he has disguises.
Okay. Are you saying this is like the Three Faces of Foley?
It really is. And the thing is, he doesn't watch wrestling. So I don't know where he came up. It's like when they talk about, like, if you gave 1 million monkeys a typewriter, they would eventually, one of them would type the Bible. Like, it's that.
Okay.
Yeah, he feels the repetition of Patrick makes it more legitimate.
Interesting.
I told him he's probably going to be living out of a Hannaford shopping cart for the rest of his life.
Or
a closet. And I think the closet is actually winning.
You are correct, sir. I just did a quick tabulation. The current score right now.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they called him 18 points. Uncle Todd, 14 points.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is rigged.
Oh, stop it. Will you stop?
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
No, you are.
And that's saying something.
I'm not the one who peed on myself.
I did not pee on myself. I had an errant pour that I have since cleaned up.
Uh-huh.
Number 20, which is now in our section called What's Up With That? Ooh-wee. What's up with that? What's up with that? All right, here we go. Number 20, part of the story will involve the X program and experimenting with mutants. Real or jabroni, that is jabroni. 0 points for both of us on this one. The leader is seeking vengeance on Bruce Banner throughout events in the movie. That is Jabroni. Uncle Todd gets 2 points. I have 0 points. All right. Our next one, number 22. The discover of adamantium from...
Wait, there was no mentioning of wheat and chaff there.
What?
There was no mentioning of separating wheat and chaff there.
Yeah, there is no separating wheat and chaff. You've got to like earn your way up to actually be in like the running here.
I've got to earn it all of a sudden.
Yeah, some of us need to. Others not so much.
Shove it right in.
Throw this right between the cracking.
Like a wheat stalk. Root it all the way up to your nostril.
All right, number 22.
Be like a pipe cleaner.
Oh, good.
Get one end and the other.
Oh, good God Almighty. We have gone off the rails and then
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize.
Oh,
actually, no, I don't. That was funny. I don't care who you are. That was funny.
Well played, sir. Well played.
It's a great image right there.
Oh, God. Number 22. Let's keep it moving. Oh, my gosh.
That's what you have to do with the wheat stalk. You got to keep moving, otherwise it sticks.
All right, number 22. The discovery of adamantium.
Clean as a whistle afterwards, though.
Oh, the discovery of adamantium from the dead celestial Tiamat will lead to the start of Project X. I said the real, you said jabroni. This is jabroni.
Jabroni!
So another 2 points. Events of the story.
Are we still not up to the wheat and chaff level yet?
Not yet. No. Number 23. Events of the story lead to establishing the MCU's Wolverine. Uncle Todd said the real. I said jabroni. That is a full-on jabroni.
Now, hang on a second.
Nope.
I'm here. Hear me out.
I'm hearing.
Because the fact that even so, in a way, we are both correct on this, because you're correct that it didn't happen within the movie. Mm-hmm. However, if we go back to the text, events of the story lead to establishing the MCU's Wolverine. Without adamantium, you cannot establish the character of Wolverine, because that's kind of a big part of Wolverine's shtick.
But implicit in this number 23 is a tie-in in the movie to Wolverine.
Yes, events of the story. In other words, adamantium being introduced.
I disagree.
I'm just saying, like, and I'm not saying this, I don't know what the point total is or anything like that. I kind of feel like this one should be a wash, because I think that there is a case to be made for both. What say you?
I
will defer to you because you are the scribe and the keeper of these questions, but
my sense of things is what's up with that is about the plot line of the movie and the story. And this does not tie a direct line into Wolverine other than the fact that there is adamantium. That is it. We do not hear about Project X, which we just adjudicated on, which is where Wolverine comes from. We have just said that is jabroni. So, as of this movie, we do not know quite yet if this will lead to the MCU's Wolverine or not.
Okay, I'll abide by your decision, and also hope that you get a boil on your right butt cheek. So we will rule that one a jabroni.
All right, do you want me to do it for?
Here's to you.
Do you want to wash just to make you happy?
No, I will abide by your decision. You are because there needs to be a final rule on this, and you are the keeper of real and jabroni. Right. You are so I will allow you to play judge in this.
If there was the smallest
if
hint.
Tomorrow you wake up and you're like, something, the prayers do get answered.
America dream.
You're not going to get on my good side with just that. It ain't going to happen.
Oh, come on now.
No.
Don't be sore.
I'm not going to be the one who's sore. I'm not going to be the one who's sore, sir.
All right. Number 24, The Eternals are tied into the story due to Tiamat's hand sticking out of the ocean. What are we calling that one? The real or the jabroni?
I mean,
we both said the real on this one, and I think you said this when we went through
it's
these.
kind of a given for us.
It's kind of a given. So
yeah, it is, because you can't. That was the entire story of the movie.
He's the red.
All right. Number 25. The Red Hulk revelation will lead to Ross resigning as president. That is the real.
He's the red.
So Uncle Todd gets 2 full points on that one. Number 26. Isaiah Bradley's attack on the president will be part of the leader's larger plan. We both said the real, and that is in fact what happened. That was part of the leader's plan. Captain America will defeat Red Hulk. Would we say that's the real?
I mean,
he survived the Incredible
Cap
Hulk.
ain't dead, so I'd say that's a defeat.
All right.
He's the red.
Part of the story reveals how Stark's tech has been integrated into the military and the world. Uncle Todd said the real on this one. This is a wheat and chaff sort of question right here, I think.
Oh my gosh, you and your freaking wheat and chaff, I swear.
Ladies and gentlemen,
mental floss you.
If we were in the same room, I think I would be having objects hurled at me amongst
You would.
Some rather racy epithets, and
I would have gone out and bought an old, like a vintage Sega Genesis controller just so I could hurl it at you.
Oh, good Lord. All right. The leader triggers.
That one was a jabroni.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, number 28 about Stark's tech was
Make sure
jabroni.
we're going official here.
I got 2 points. Uncle Todd got 0. The leader triggers the Red Hulk transformation. Uncle Todd said jabroni. I said the real. It was the real.
He's the red.
All right. So let me add this up. So let's see. We were.
While you're doing that.
Ooh, there we go.
Gonna make myself feel better.
Absolutely.
He's just a common man, working hard with his
Gonna get funky with you, real bad.
He's just a common man.
Oh yeah.
Working hard for the man. Hey,
here we go.
There it is. Did you load that up while we were doing the show?
I did. I just need to hear a little of that. So where we stand with this one here?
All right. At the end of What's Up With That? Uncle Todd has 23 points. Man, they call Tim has 27.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. All right. Our final section of The Real and Jabroni is When the Man Comes Around. This is Who Lives and Who Dies. Number 30, Danny Ramirez.
Mussolini.
Thank you, Uncle Corey.
Right. Mussolini's dead, so
Hey.
just ties in.
Fair enough. Number 30, Danny Ramirez will be killed in the movie. He damn near came close to it. And we're going to call this a jabroni. So we get no points. Nana for both of us. Number 31, Isaiah Bradley is killed.
Jabroni.
That is also jabroni. Man They Call Tim gets 0. Uncle Todd gets 2. Because he said jabroni and I said the real. Number 32, Captain America will have reformed the Avengers by the end of the film. We both said jabroni. That is a big old jabroni. He was asked to do as much by Thunderbolt, but he did not carry that through. Number 33, Cap refuses to reform the Avengers, leading to Ross asking Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, one of the best names in all of Marvel, to form the Thunderbolts. We both said the real. That is a big old jabroni.
Jabroni.
Was there any mention of who the vice president is throughout this whole thing?
There was not. We have
who's
no
taking charge?
idea who's in charge at this point, which is kind of par for the course with this movie because that is a detail they got left out, and you're kind of like, yeah, who the heck is VP here? Who's carrying all this forward now?
It's also par for the course in real life as well. So we'll just...
Bye. All right, number 34. Events of this movie will have a direct tie-in to the start of the Thunderbolts movie. we both said the real here. I'm going to say Jabroni. I mean, I know the Thunderbolts comes after, but there's really no tie-in.
Yeah, this was, and I think I remember I think I remember me saying like, this is to TBD. Like this will be determined because it could, like, I could totally see like Ross ending up being the catalyst of like, hey, we need a team, and he's not going to reform the Avengers, so we need a response, that sort of thing. And going to Valentina Day, blah 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 blah, and
yes,
being like, hey, would you do the Elaine dance and get him to come in and do the beating up the bad guys thing?
Indeed,
but it's not going to be determined here.
It is not. It is not. Number 35, Namor, the Submariner, will declare war on the surface world due to the presence of adamantium. We both said Jabroni on this one, so we each.
It's an interesting thought, though.
It is. Well, and the logic behind it makes sense. If you remember, ladies and gentlemen, we discussed how Namor has access to vibranium similar to Wakanda, but adamantium has some different properties, and kind of introduces a new variable into the equation. So Namor could be cheesed off by this and want to exact vengeance for there being this new material that he now has to
gimmick infringement is what it is.
It is
pure and simple.
Number 36. So we so that last one, 35, was Jabroni. We each get a point. Number 36, the end of the movie sets up the World War Hulk storyline. That's a big old jabroni, but we each get a point nonetheless. Number 37, yes, the wheat being separated from the chaff. A foreboding post-credit scene introduces Victor Von Doom. Uncle Todd said jabroni. I said the real, and Uncle Todd was correct because there was no Victor Von Doom.
The chaff actually worked out for me.
Well, I gave you one. Number 38. No, I don't mean like I gave it to you like I knew it was going to be wrong. I just meant you got it right. I gave you 2 points. Did I not? Who is scribing here?
I still feel insulted.
Well, you shouldn't. Just stop it. Stop it.
I shan't.
Number 38, and our final Real and Jabroni for Cap 4. The movie will have a connection to Fantastic Four First Steps. If you count the trailer. Yes. If you count the story. Hell no. That's a jabroni.
Jabroni!
We each get a point. Are you ready for the total, sir?
I am. Do you have it totaled?
Not yet. I need you to vamp for a moment. So if you want to play the American Dream theme one more time while I tabulate this up, that would be wonderful.
We've already heard that.
Or something else. I don't know.
I haven't got anything.
Put on Cena's Bad Bad Man then.
No. Yeah, fine. Because you done did it. You should have kept it in the vault. They ain't ready for this.
Oh, you done did it now. Chaos.
See,
put this one in
John's
the vault,
agreeing
man.
with me.
They not ready. They don't know what's
They're
coming.
not ready. They're not.
I'm gonna drop this on them right here. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready for none of this. Your boy's a bad man. Then we invading the streets, make them clap a rapper skirt. They be dropping the heat. Shock the world, now I'm standing alone. I flip fools like them clamshell cellular phones. You can't help but nod your head to the track.
I'm busy now.
The water down rap.
Please
we
tell me
taking it back. Give it to me straight. Ain't no chasing it. Check yourself in the
All
mirror.
right, you ready for the total, sir?
Yes.
I'm plugging him into our spreadsheet so I have.
So you're not ready.
No, I am ready. I'm just putting it into the
John was right. You're not ready for this.
I am ready for this.
You done did it, though.
All right, are you ready? Wait a minute, let me just check one thing. Sorry. All right, so I had about a 5.5 point lead ahead of you going
Getting this Steiner math here. What are we doing?
All right. Our final total for this Real and Jabroni is Uncle Todd has amassed. Actually, can I go back and just calculate one more time? Please play the music again. Let me just double check one more time. I want to make sure I have this right.
Gonna make cuss and drop the F-bomb on this show. It's gonna happen. Just read the friggin' numbers, dude.
Hold
it's
on.
not that difficult. Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I still drink.
All right. Your column's good. Let me just check mine. 1, 2.
Swear to God. This is supposed to happen. I have the technical whiz here, and he's adding stuff up on paper.
I'm trying to make sure
he
I'm being accurate.
He's responsible for all of the banking software in Switzerland, and yet he's tallying this up
you got that
with
from?
a pencil. Isn't that what you do? You do all
Not
that wicked smart computer stuff.
All right. Uncle Todd ends up with 31 points. Well done.
Okay.
Sir. 31
Thank you.
points.
Appreciate that. And where are you at?
The man they called Tim. 31 points. We are tied.
This is horseshit.
This is a push. You
Ladies
made
and gentlemen, ice call shenanigans.
No. Going into the last section here, I was up 27-23, and you had 2 questions where you got 2 points each, as well as some 1-pointers that helped you, so you caught up. We're 31-31. So our current leaderboard has Uncle Todd at 37 points. Man, they called Tim at 42.5. I maintain my 5.5 point lead. All is well with the world right now for the man they called Tim. How we doing, Uncle Todd, over there?
Daddy needs his rheumatism medicine.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Just to be able to finish this friggin' show. All right, now that we've gotten through that farce, what do you got for in another thing?
My another thing is a little bit different from my past ones. I don't think I've ever really done an Instagram. I don't want to say influencer, but an Instagram presence that I've happened to come upon and either send to Uncle Todd or send to my kids or save overall to reference later. But I want to call attention to on Instagram Hank Azaria, the actor, who has put out some hysterical content around whether it's singing, one of the songs from Wicked, whether it is retelling, the first kind of monologue from Of Mice and Men, whether it's singing a Christmas song in the various voices that he does from The Simpsons.
And doesn't he do it live?
He does it live on the spot, and
Dude,
it is
so
incredible to behold. So the handle Hank Azaria, all one word, Hank HANK AZARIA.
Mm-hmm.
He also apparently, and I started to read about this a little bit. He has a cover band that does Bruce Springsteen covers, and he apparently did some vocal training that allowed him to kind of get pretty close to the boss's sound using his voice. So the other handle he uses is the EZ Street Band, STREETBAND. So if you check out either of those handles, you will find content from Mr. Hank Azaria, but he is absolutely hysterical, and it is so funny to see him transition from one character voice to another so seamlessly. And especially when he does the Wicked one, it is phenomenal. He ends with Professor Frink on the final note where he's singing, if you're familiar with Defying Gravity, the song, there's a very strong vocal part at the end, and he just does that in all of the Professor Frinkness that he can. And at the end, he's like, I hurt myself sounding like the Green Lady from the movie. Which was just you can't help but chuckle at that. It is so funny. So I would just say, on Instagram, check out Hank Azaria, just very funny guy. And, during some times here that are tumultuous and where we get dragged down a bit, it is wonderful that there are people out there putting out some positive and funny content. And so I just appreciate that very much. So
amen to that.
On Instagram, whatever you want to call it.
Sometimes it can be Angstagram.
Sir, what is your and another thing?
I'm, as usual, way behind the times here. Actually, this is kind of like your niche, so I feel like I'm gimmick infringing on you.
Yeah.
But recently, I think I had this on my list to watch on Netflix, and I was like, all right, fine, now let me watch an episode. The Blacklist, which it's funny because I've been going through the season, and it's so funny to go from like old school television seasons to then, after having watched like what streaming seasons are now of like, 6, 8, 10 episodes. And then as I'm watching the first season of Blacklist, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like 22 of these fracking things. Like it goes on forever. I'm like, oh, this is what TV used to be. And then I got to the point where I was like, how many seasons of this are? I'm like, there's 10 seasons? Like, oh my God, I'm never going to be done with this. But I will say it's a fun show if you're kind of into like, episodic kind of whodunit with some overarching, storytelling going on, which is kind of a bit of a jam of mine. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. The best part of this show is Spader. Oh my gosh, the dude just chews scenery to the point where like my wife is not a big fan of the show. She doesn't like a lot of like, gunplay, violence or anything like that. But she sat there and watched kind of like a couple of episodes like in the room with me. She wasn't really watching, but she was kind of listening. And even she was like, he's really good. She's not very good. And meaning the actor who plays Agent Keen, who is kind of the co-lead in this. The whole gist of the story, if you have not heard of this show that was like 14 years ago at this point when it first started, basically this guy who is like one of the biggest wanted criminals on the FBI's most wanted list goes to FBI headquarters and hands them his passport and essentially turns himself in, and it will only speak to this one particular FBI agent, and is a junior FBI profiler, and has this list of his own people that some of whom the FBI is not even aware of. They have no idea who this is, but he knows who they are, and he calls it the blacklist. And there's all these bad guys that are, and they weave into his story and all that. It's a fun show in that like there's some interesting stuff going on. There's some twists and turns and some that you kind of see coming, but they don't give them to you right away. So it's one of those deals where it's like something's up with this character, but they make you wait like an extra 8 episodes to the point where you start second guessing yourself. Where you're like, okay, maybe there isn't something up with it. Oh, there is. So it's kind of like the best and worst parts of professional wrestling in some ways. But again, then you have James Spader just like chewing scenery around everybody else. It's so hilarious because like literally I've started referring to everybody on the show as Kill Shot McGee because it's so weird. Like someone gets shot in the leg, and if they're a bad guy, they're dead. They're just dead. Like every bad guy is shot once and they die, just instantaneously. It is hilarious how they're like, oh, did you get him to question? No, they're dead. Like, of course, because we do nothing but kill shots here. But yet every so many characters on the good side have lived with like a leg hanging off. So, but it's still a fun show to go through and a fun show to watch. I'm enjoying it, and I'm just amazed that there's another 9 seasons to watch. It makes me feel bad for all the times I razzed you about, oh my gosh, there's so many seasons of Games of Thrones. I can't watch it, and I've got myself into this now. Like I'm in like crap for the next 4 years. I'm going to be working my way through this show.
Yeah.
But I would still recommend it. It's a fun watch. It's got its own cheesy flavor to it, but it's a fromage that you can come to appreciate, if you will. If you will. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our show for this week. Thank you all for tuning in. We do so appreciate you being here with us as we sift through all of our predictions, which basically kind of amounted to a tie, and also us probably what we were right maybe like 20% of the time. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
if you
not a
figure
high percentage.
38 questions, if you were to get all of them right on your own, 2 points per question should be about 76 points. We got 31.
Yeah, but that's still like some of them being. Anyways, we're batting like a middling AAA shortstop. That's where we're at. So as usual, don't place any bets based on us. But hey, come on back for the chuckles, because we do entertain. If you'd like to subscribe to our humble little outpost here on the interwebs, you can go to freerangeidiocy.com. That'll have all of our episodes there. You can download them individually. You can also subscribe to the Podbean app. You can also find us on all the major podcast purveyors, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, all of those. Just search for Free Range Idiocy. If you'd like a video sort of presentation, you can toggle to that on Spotify. You can also find it on our YouTube channel. You can find us on the social medias. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTubes. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, things you'd like to, vitriol you'd like to spew, go ahead and send it, because it's not going to me. It's going to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. Send him, send early, send often, because he's in Chicago and he appreciates that sort of thing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to kick this on over to take us home to the least idiotic of the two idiots who run this show. That would be the man they call Tim, but not before I ask him the second most important question in all of human history. That, of course, being, the first, of course, being what is hip from Tower of Power. The second being, what in the high holy hell did we learn in this episode?
We have learned the following, my friend.
Good.
We've learned that Jey Uso, curtain jerker or main event? Still unclear.
I don't know if that's clear.
We have learned that Uncle Todd has some strong opinions about what a steel cage match should be.
I do.
The man they called Tim has some equally strong opinions about.
Is a chain link fence actually made out of steel?
What it could be. Thought so. Are you thinking it's aluminum?
I don't know.
It is bendy.
Fence made of steel. Let's see here. Yes, chain link fences are typically made from galvanized or vinyl coated steel wire.
Ha!
Well, vindication. Not really vindication. I was just wondering if the name was actually accurate still. I still stand by my opinions.
We have also learned that at episode 198, Free Range Idiocy is open to changing up the show format. We are saucer sectioning, if you will, the Week in Geek.
I'm calling dibs on the Battle Bridge.
You may have it. I will take the saucer section and I will cruise the galaxy.
Okay, good.
Unhindered.
You do that on impulse power. I'll be over here warping around. Thanks.
We have also learned that Chad Gable is an untapped commodity and talent that needs a championship and needs a good, solid, spotlighted run.
He ought to go for the U.S. championship, and then with the luchador mask, declare it the Mexican championship.
Oh, look at that. Uncle Todd, always thinking. Always thinking.
I love the thing where he was like, gracias! I was like,
yes.
It's so horrible, but yet it works.
We've also learned that Uncle Todd and the man they call Tim, don't know squat about squat when it comes to real and jabroni. We just went through 38 questions, and we're pretty much exactly where we were, just 31 points later on both sides. So, but we've also learned that the man they call Tim is maintaining his dominance over Uncle Todd.
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
I am worse than Hulk Hogan. I will own that to the end. With all that being said, and we've also learned that. One last one. We've also learned that, with Marvel movies, we love the franchise, but for the love of God, can we get back to some solid storytelling, please? Cap 4 had some okay points, but my God, we need to have some stronger storytelling. We gotta be able to care about bringing back characters like Betsy Ross if you're gonna bring them back. We gotta, bring about some care in the climax of the movie by not letting it go in the trailer, for crying out loud. I mean, you gave away the entire farm in the trailer. It's good God.
So right there, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the takeaway that you want to have here. The man they call Tim says you shouldn't climax too early.
Amen. All right. All that being said, as we like to close things out here on the range, we thank you for the listenership. Be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another, and don't climax too early. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed for now. See ya.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair.
I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
So say we all.
We getting canceled. Where's Patrick and Patrick and Patrick when you need him?
I know. We need the triple P is what we
You've already peed once. You need triple P.
That does not sound good, the triple P.
You already peed all over yourself. My God. And you covered up with whiskey. I don't know what's worse. All right, let's take this home.
Oh, yes. There it is. Raise a glass to the dream, ladies and gentlemen. The one and the only. Never replicated. Never duplicated. Never confiscated.
Gonna get funky with you. Real
Always
bad.
recognized. Never denied.
This chorus goes hard, man. Jim Johnson there with a
Jimmy Hart.
riding that.
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart wrote this one?
Jimmy Hart has a credit on this with Jim Johnson. 100%.
Nice.
With an unsung hero. Oh, yeah. Oh, she lets it go. There's the funk. There's the sass, baby. The sass.
Oh, my gosh. This is going downhill so quick.
Now get the hell out of here!